Right. I just want to thank everybody for coming out today, whether you're faculty, staff, students, for attending the first and hopefully not last Student Governments Forum, or Student Government Candidates Forum. This will give an unprecedented look into the faces and minds of all the SGO candidates. So we're going to begin with the question and answer session prepared by Quill staff. If you would like to ask questions, just use the forms that we provided to you. Raise your hand, and Allison will give you, we'll pick it up, and she'll give it to us, and we'll ask that question for you. I just want to thank you all again for coming, and give a warm welcome to the SGO candidates.
Josh, we're going to begin just by getting you to state your name, and then you can pass the microphone down, and then just please state your name to the audience.
My name is Joshua Lillihan.
Hi everyone, I'm Carly Pickett.
I'm Ji Han from South Korea.
I'm Anna Cook.
Hi, my name is Marco Sumter.
I'm Mandy Wilson.
Okay, we'll start with you today, Mindy. This is the first annual SGO Forum. It's designed to show the student body how you can help them. So conversely, if you were to be elected, how can the student body help you to do your job?
The student body can definitely help by explaining what they want to see at Carroll, because the way for us to be unified is to know what each other needs, and to build each other up, we have to communicate with each other. So just communication, putting suggestions in the suggestion box is really helpful.
Marco?
Yep.
Same question.
Okay.
How can the students help you to better do your job?
How can the student body?
Yes, how can the student body?
Well, the student government organization is all about having the student body opinions heard. So they can help me do my job better by simply inputting their opinions and making their ideas heard by us to deliver the message to higher positions.
I think kind of along with what Mandy said, communication is the key. I think here, like from my experience as treasurer, I email the clubs all the time, like a couple times a week, and I don't really get a lot of responses from them. Like I have to continually, ask them several times. So I think the key is for them to tell me what they want. Like I'm asking them, but then they're not responding. So I think the key is communication. If you want.
What was the question again?
How can the student body help you to better do your job?
By keeping contacting with them, listening and communicating, we can know what they want, what school have to do. So I think communication is the best way.
I guess kind of going along with what everybody said, that I think communication is definitely key when it comes to especially like building relationships with students and knowing that like each student has an opinion to be heard. So I feel like that students should recognize that whether or not they're involved like in a ton of clubs or they're just on an individual basis with whatever concerns they have, it would be good if they would come to us so that we would be able to pass that message along to the people that it needs to be heard.
I think the students can help me do my job by being proactive and not being afraid to talk to me about something that they're having problems with, an issue they're facing. That students shouldn't just be quiet. If students facing an issue, they should just be quiet and hope that someone else will raise the alarm about it. They need to come to someone, one of the members of the student government. I usually can be found in the student lounge. If you have a problem in the school, come talk to me. I'll pass it along to all the necessary people.
In your daily life as a student, what do you do to make a difference every day?
I try to keep my ears open for any opportunities I can. I try to have a hand in most activities that the school does to help the students. I try to volunteer and show up to as many opportunities to help out my community and my school. And think it's enjoyable. I love helping people, and it's just a very rewarding experience. And I just hope I can continue to do a lot more in school whenever the opportunity presents itself.
Could you repeat the question?
In your daily life, what do you do as a student to make a difference for Carroll Community College?
Well, for those of you that don't know me, and for those of you that you do, you know that I'm an extremely outgoing person. So I tend to, whenever I see somebody, I always say hi, or I always try and make them feel warm and welcome here, because I feel like that's part of what the Carroll experience is all about, is that everybody is valued and that everybody is heard, and that everybody is made to feel important here. So I do my best to kind of go up to everybody that I see and kind of say hi or whatever. I'm very involved on campus, so in different clubs and activities and different events that happen. So I do my best to get involved and to meet new people through that, and to kind of branch out and do different things with the community as well.
In your day-to-day life, what do you do to make a difference?
I really like to get involved in like activities. So I play soccer for Carroll Soccer Club and crew. I go to crew, like Christian club. And I am one of PTK member by Terra Kappa, and I'm going to be a member of peer mentoring and also SGO if I get elected. So I always try to get involved activities in school. So that makes.
If I can get a chat real quick, if everyone could just please speak up and use the microphone as much as possible.
Just hit it. Hit it.
Go on.
Just hit it. Hit the bottom. No, you agree words for me. I'm screwed a bit. Batteries, I have spare number over.
So now it's going to be time for the singing we were talking about.
The light's on.
Oh, is it on now?
The light has been on.
Is it all the way on? Usually there's a standby phase on it.
It's all the way on. Yeah, it has to stand by
The
something.
light is on for the battery, so maybe that means the battery is dying. I don't know much about microphones.
You have to have this battery now.
We're sitting here, but maybe we'll grab some spare room. What's the battery system?
9 volt.
9 volt?
Sorry about this, folks.
Well, let's continue, but if you could speak up, just so I can hear you.
Okay. The question is, what do I do as a student?
Yeah,
Am I
make a
doing
difference at Carroll Community College.
I think one of the advantages of the community college is that it's small. And as a result of that, in my classes, there's not as many people as like if I went to a huge school. And because of that, I can talk to students and see what they think about teachers or maybe things going around school, like things that are going on. So I think one of the things that I do is I talk to people. Like Carly said, I'm really outgoing. So I talk to my fellow students. If I'm in student life and I don't know someone, then I introduce myself and, ask them how they're doing. And things like that. I think just getting involved, but at the same time, not having that feeling that I'm above them, but rather that I'm on the same level and that I'm talking to you. And you can just share your opinions with me. And that's what I'm hoping to accomplish by being on SGO, is that people's voices can be heard no matter what stage of life you are in or what you're doing here. Taking 1 class or 5 classes. That's why I think this is big life.
What do I do day to day to improve Carroll? To make a difference in Carroll? Well, yeah, like what Anna said, Carroll is not a very big campus, so therefore, it's not too difficult to get involved and talk to the students. I'm also involved in a lot of, I try to get involved as much as I can in activities here at Carroll. I'm a part of CAB and soccer club, and I'm also a Hill Scholar, and it's a group of students we see every day. I'm also part of SGO, which
Do you want me to wait for the microphone?
Nah, go ahead, just,
Okay.
you go.
I think that I am a very positive person, and I try to keep an upbeat attitude. So, I feel like if you have a good attitude, then others around you are going to feel the positive attitude. And I just try to keep people like uplifted. Thank you. And I'm also outgoing, just like Carly and Anna said. So I'm definitely, like I said, I'm definitely big on communication. I try to keep students in the loop. I'm part of CAB. I'm the secretary of CAB, so I try to keep students as involved on this campus as I can. And I definitely let people know about all the events. I help out whenever I can. I'm friends with some of the student workers for Student Life, so I help out whenever I can with like posters and hanging them up. And I'm currently in SGO, so I feel like I help a little by taking notes and stuff. I think that was all.
All right, can you describe one thing that you would like to change about how the SGO operates?
Oh, I don't want to start with this. Give me 1 second to think about that. I think that it'd be awesome if we could have a few more members. Like, I definitely like that it's small because you don't want to have too many people. Like, CAB, I love CAB, but when you get a lot of people, then things can get a little disorganized sometimes. So I think if SGO, I think we have 10 members, and I think if you had just like 12, just like 2 extra members, or 11 to avoid, voting issues, because we've had a lot of that this year with ties. But I definitely think if we had like 1 or 2 more members, just any involvement we can get and any student voice is definitely appreciated. So I think that'd be the only thing I could change. I like the way it operates.
All right. I personally think that the SGO to improve itself, we could maybe not advertise, but like put ourselves out there more. I'm sure if you asked a lot of the students here, they wouldn't even know that we had an SGO. So I think that letting people know that there is an SGO, that if they inputted their opinions, that it would, their problems could be solved. I think that would make everything run smoother and more effectively.
There's actually 2 things that I have on my mind that I would like to change in SGO. If I came on the board next year, hopefully I'd like to be president, maybe get some ideas out about how to move things around. But one of the things I feel like we don't do enough is communicating with the students. We have had tables like at the club fair or things like that where we ask students about things that are going on, but I feel like we don't really go out among the campus and ask students their opinions about things. I think you guys do a wonderful job about telling the story about things that are going on, but I feel like we don't ask the opinions of students enough. And along those same lines, I feel like we don't set enough goals. In a sense, like we usually have like a goal setting day where we set goals and for the year, but I feel like we haven't done a whole lot of that this year. I feel like we've done a lot this year for the student body, but I feel like we could do even more if we just had like a full day or maybe even 2 days where we just sat down and said what needs to be done in the school that will make it a better school for the students and even the faculty and staff that work here.
Can you repeat?
Describe one thing that you would change about how the SGO operates.
I don't know about SGO exactly because I'm not involved. So, but one thing, I didn't see SGO working for like foreign students here. So I would like to work for foreign student because I'm a foreign student and I know what they have a hard time, that what do they have. So I want to work for foreign students.
I haven't been a part of SGO before, so I'm not completely familiar with the way that it runs day to day with the different meetings and things that they have. But I know that from an outside perspective looking in, it might be nice. If I didn't have friends that were involved in SGO, I probably wouldn't have known anything about it. So it may be nice if maybe they market it, or not, I don't know if marketed is the right word, but kind of put themselves out there a little bit more so that the students are very much aware that they're there, and that the students are very much aware that they're there if there's any questions or concerns that they have. And kind of going along with that, it might be nice if, I don't know if you guys have this, but if there was like some kind of time where you could sit down with students and have a question and answer, or something like what we have going on right now, where the students could come and voice their opinions. And if that is done, and I just didn't know about it, then maybe it could be like kind of promoted more and more so that it could actually be like a bigger event, so that everybody's thoughts and opinions on things here on campus could be heard.
Josh?
In addition to increasing the student body awareness about student government, I'd also like to increase our awareness about the suggestion boxes that we have. It seems like a lot of them go unnoticed, and we haven't received very many suggestions throughout the year. And also, we don't really have much of a better way of answering the suggestions other than posting a piece of paper next to the boxes. So, if we could, I'd like to see if we can find a way to improve on that just a little bit.
Okay, related to that answer, Josh, and to many of the other answers, as an SGO senator, you will serve the Carroll community student body. How will you determine what their opinion is on major issues?
Well, if it's a major issue, you'll hear people talking about it in classes, you'll hear teachers maybe talking about it in the hallways. And whenever I'm going to hear something like that, I'm going to try to go up to them, see what they have to say about it, and see what input I could give them, see what help I can give, and see what they can give back to me, so that I can try to help them find a solution to any issue that they're having.
Could you repeat that question for me?
How will you gauge student opinion when making governmental decisions?
Do you mean how to look at an issue and see if it's an important issue, or what do you mean by that?
As you serve the student body, when you're making this major decision, you should represent their interests.
Right.
How will you determine what those interests are?
I guess that like when an issue comes up, it would be important to gather enough information to be able to make solid and valid decisions based off of the different opinions that you've heard. So I guess going around to different students and asking what their, like how they view certain things or whatever, taking polls or using social networking, to see like what different people have to say about different things, use Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but just do as much as you can to kind of gather information and gather opinions of the student body.
How will you gauge student opinion when making decisions?
I'm going to do survey by using my friends, and then I'm gonna decide what they want, and then I'm gonna debate with my SGO member, and then I'm gonna decide it.
All right.
I think the best way to do that, or maybe not the most efficient way, but I think the best way would be one-on-one communication. because I found out a lot of times people don't respond a whole lot over the internet. So I think the best way would be to go around to the school and ask students, what do you think about this? Maybe have like a paper to fill out, say what you think, give it back to me, or just like stand around the area and be like, I'll be over there, just give it to me. But I think the best way to do that would be one-on-one communication.
Very good, Marco.
I think the most important way to find out what the students think would be what everyone else said, pretty much talk to them, either one-on-one or in groups. I think that you should utilize any available tools, and not just tools, but like groups, and that includes clubs. So you could probably maybe contact each club, tell them to contact their members, ask them what they think, find out their opinions, because the clubs are very diverse, and that would bring in feedback from across the campus.
One thing, I definitely think our SGO right now is pretty diverse with the students who are involved. So with issues that we've had, we all have a pretty wide range of our group of friends, and they're pretty different for each person. So it definitely helps having a diverse SGO board to get their opinions and their friends' opinions. But stepping outside of your friend zone, which is one thing that we did with our SGO this year, when we had our discussion about the tuition increase, we were asked to go and talk to students at Carroll outside of our friends, just, hey Margo, what do you think? Go and talk to someone and say, are you aware that we are talking about a tuition increase at Carroll, and getting their opinion and explaining to them why we're going to increase. So I think as long as you ask students, don't make it awkward, but just ask someone that you're not really familiar with and just say, I'm with SGO and I want your opinion on this subject, and then make it clear.
Starting with you, Mandy, in your opinion, do you think that all elections should be held to a student election, such as president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary?
I'm unfamiliar with how those elections go at the start of a semester because they were already elected when I got elected last semester. So I don't know if they're already student elections. Are they?
I believe the way it currently works now is that the student body elects the representatives to the SGO, and the SGO elects among themselves the positions of president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer.
I think that the student voice is valued whenever possible, so I definitely don't think it would hurt anything to have a student election. But I like the way our club is run now, and I think that the SGO did a great job choosing who they thought. I think it works well having the SGO board choose within themselves because they know how they're going to work together, so they know who's going to do what. When you open it up to the whole student body, they're just going to look at your mission statement and what you've been saying, but they don't necessarily look at how you interact with each other. Because you need someone who's going to get along with everyone to be president, and you need someone reliable to be secretary and treasurer. So I think student opinion is definitely valued at any time, and it would never hurt to have an open student election for anything. But the way it is now, I don't think that's bad at all.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. Do you think that all elections that the SGO has should be open to the student body, such as president, secretary, vice president, and treasurer?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Mandy on that question. I think the student opinions are very important in most cases, but in a situation like picking the president, the treasurer, the secretary, I don't think most of the students are even aware of what those positions, what the duties of those positions. I think, and yet they also aren't unaware of how we or how the elected people would work together as a group. So yeah, I pretty much agree 100% with what Mandy said. I think the system of how it is now, of how the SGO within itself votes for the president and the other positions. So yeah, I think that's the way it should be.
I actually think it's good the way it is because each position within SGO has a certain responsibility, and I'm not saying that one of us is more important than another person based on what they do. We all have our opinions that matter, but the workload, I think, is a little bit different if you're president than if you're a senator, or let's say it's because I'm the treasurer, I know that I spend a lot of time contacting clubs, but nobody else has that job. So because they're so different on the level that each position has the workload, I think it's good because each person knows how much they want to be involved on the board. So it's all, how much you do depends on how much you want to do. Like I can't make, let's say Marco, I can't make him do anything. He has to want to do it, and that's part of what a good leader is. They motivate their fellow peers. So I think that it's good because each person knows what they can do and how much they want to do, and I think the student body might not be able to know that. So that's what I think.
Because I don't know the SGO system, I can't tell exactly. But I think the system is really good right now. And guess what? If I became president because I had a lot of vote, I can't represent the school because I have problem with not speaking. Language barriers. I have a language barrier, right? So I think this system is really good, I think.
Well, I think that overall the entire student body's opinions and votes completely count, and so I think that the fact that we open up these SGO elections to everyone to vote for and for everybody to be able to run for is a really good thing. There's not necessarily any kind of requirement or anything like that, so that's good in itself. And I think that the fact that once the students see who you are and vote for you to be on the board, that in themselves shows to the SGO and shows to you that they respect you and trust you enough to put you up on that board. And from then on out, I feel like it is fair for SGO to be able to take the people who are on board and decide within that who gets to be voted and who gets to move up. Because with that, especially, I know that in high school, especially in SGO and SGA stuff, there was a lot of issues where it just came down to popularity and not necessarily who did the best job for what. And I think that that's what's really nice about the higher up positions being elected within SGO, because from that, the people who are already in SGO who are serious about it can obviously tell who deserves it and who doesn't, and it's not just based off of who has, the flashiest flyers or anything like that. So I feel like the way that it's set up now is a really solid system that we should stick to.
While it is important to understand what the students want of their representatives, it might be some complications when having the students decide every position for student government, because students are already being made to vote once for all the general elections, and that may be all the students. Some students may want to be bothered with, and also there is the issue that some of the representatives may have more friends who are willing to vote than others, and that might not fairly represent how good they are for certain positions. If all the higher up, the president position and the secretary, all that is kept in-house, then the senators who are already decided by the student body to be responsible people can better gauge who would be best for what job, who would be best for what responsibilities, based on the one-on-one interaction each of the representatives have with each other.
Okay. The Maryland State Legislature, as you all may know, may be forced to make unprecedented cuts to public school funding in the near future. As an SGO senator, if you are presented with a budget requiring a tuition increase, what will your reaction be?
first I want to know exactly what each part of the tuition increase would be going to. I want to know where all the money is going to. I want to ask around, talk to people, see what they think about the increase, see if they agree with it. And I'd like to talk to the people who are making the decision to increase the tuition to see what their reasoning is behind it, and to get both stories before making any judgment myself.
Could you repeat it for me?
Okay. The Maryland State Legislature may have to make unprecedented cuts to public school funding in the near future. If you were presented as an SGO officer with a budget requiring a tuition increase as a result, what would your reaction be?
Well, first off, if it's required, then I feel like it would obviously be something that, well, since it's required, it would be required. But I would look through and kind of discuss with everybody different reasons as to why this was happening. I wouldn't just go with it. You know, I would look back and kind of look up the chain of command and see, well, why are these cuts being made? Where is this money like that was going here going now? You know, why is it that it's being taken away like this? And I feel like once we've kind of discovered that and kind of seen every angle of that and why it's happening, it would be important to constantly update the student body on this and update them as to why it's happening and make sure that they're fully aware of the different reasons as to why it's happening. And if that was, my next step personally would be to kind of go through and see if there was any way that we could help students, if there was any way that that we could make it easier for them to handle, because even if it's just a little bit, you know, of an increase, it's still an increase. And I know that there are a lot of families within Carroll that it's hard for them as it is. So it would be nice to go through and see if there were any kind of scholarship opportunities that we could make, or any kind of difference in the payment plans or anything like that, where we could help students be as successful as possible with that increase.
I think we just can't say that we disagree increasing our tuition, because we have to think realistic. So I think even though I agree on increasing our tuition, I'm going to come up with other solutions, like such as reducing our food price decrease, so that our student doesn't have any petitions. So we have to think other ways.
Sorry, but could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry.
The Maryland State Legislature may have to make unprecedented cuts to public school funding in the near future. What will you do as a result, if as a result we have to increase tuition?
The first thing I would do would be wondering where that tuition money would be headed. I think we've talked about before that we might have an tuition increase maybe next year, but that will also help our faculty and staff maybe give some of that to them as like raises or bonuses or whatever. And I think that that's a good idea, because I think the faculty and staff here at the school does a really good job, and they haven't had anything like that in a few years. So I think if the money is spent in the right places, then it's a good thing. And if it's required, then there's nothing we can really do to stop it. But we can counteract it, I guess, by maybe seeing if we could do other programs in the school. Like we have the food locker that helps people out who maybe they're coming to school but they don't have the money to buy groceries or other things they may need. So maybe we could come up with other programs around the school to see if we could help them in other areas like the food locker does.
What would I do in response to a tuition increase?
So the budget suggesting a tuition increase.
Okay. Yeah, I think the first step that would have to be taken is to understand where the money is being transferred to and all that. And if it's a good change, I think that it's a good change, I should say. But if it's a bad change, and if it's required, I don't think there's too much we could really do about it. But yeah, like what everyone else said, looking at maybe like scholarships, like in the scholarship program, however that works, and see if we can help out the student body as much as we can. Contact clubs, make different activities, like the food locker was a great thing. So more of those types of things to reach out to the students and help them out as much as we could.
As I mentioned before, this situation was presented to us in SGO, and one thing we did look at was exactly why the tuition would be increasing, and that would be something that I would be wondering. As Anna said, it goes a lot towards like teachers, increase in salaries. I know the Quill did an article about like how students would feel about the tuition increase, and I think as long as students understand why it's being increased and they understand that, and I may not say this correctly, but we talked about in SGO, the tuition has to be at a certain price, like every so often, or they won't get state grants, I believe it is, or like state money, something like that. So the students need to understand that we can't necessarily just ignore any tuition increases at all times. Like there's going to have to be so often that we increase it. And I think once the students outside of SGO understand that, then there'll be a lot less frustration. And as Carly said, if there's any scholarship opportunities that can open up, or grants or anything like that, I think that'll definitely be a big help. I think that's all.
As a follow-up to that, as you guys know, that budget, if there was a tuition increase, that budget would be presented to the Board of Trustees, and they would make a decision on that. Do you think it would be important to have a student voter on the Board of Trustees?
I definitely think that would be important, because it would be just like SGO. It would be how the students feel, because the Board of Trustees, since they're all adults and they're all teachers, so they would feel the repercussions of the tuition increase. I think it's important to have a student voice there saying, like, this is how it's going to affect me, this is the budget I have for school, and teachers may not understand what students have to spend. I mean, some students they're not lucky enough to have like their parents or their grandparents or whoever pay it for them. They have to pay themselves, and they're working every day as much as they can to pay for it. So I think if you have a student voice on the Board of Trustees, that's gonna like push the adults to see more how the students are viewing the tuition increase, how they're feeling about coming here, because if it becomes out of their price range, they'll be afraid of losing the enrollment.
I think there should definitely be a student voter in part of the Board of Trustees thing, and mainly because it would students are very important when you're talking about college. So maybe, but you have to pick a student who really understood what was going on and who knew like the popular opinion of the entire student body. So yeah, and that person would represent the entire people, so their vote would be important towards the vote.
I definitely think that it's a good idea. If they don't at least vote, they at least have like a time in the meeting where they can say exactly what they think. Like I haven't been to Board of Trustees meetings, but I've been to other meetings, and there's not really a time where I can feel like I can speak up. Most of the time, like when I'm a student with all these other, Board of Trustees, sometimes it's like it's a little, not scary, but I feel like I can't say anything because I'm just a student, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I don't have an opportunity to talk to them. So I think if I don't vote, then I should at least have a time where I can say, this is what I think, maybe this is what the students think, and I think that would be really effective in decision making in the meeting.
I don't think that is a good idea, because majority students gonna disagree because they have to pay more. So it disrupt deciding our I'm sorry. But we should come up with other other solution like that reduce reduce the cost that students have to pay. Because we have to think realistic and we have to think for our school, not just for students. So you know what I mean? Like, so I don't think the student is the voting is not a good idea.
I think the idea of having a student there is a swell idea. I think that that especially like that even if they don't vote, I feel like their opinion definitely needs to be heard, because a lot of times a student's opinion just when looking at the power tier, so to speak, that the student's opinion can kind of get lost in the midst of everything. And I feel like definitely it would be important to have a student there to kind of represent the student body and to represent what we have to say. And like I said, whether or not they vote, I don't necessarily think that that's important as much as having a student there be able to say what they think about it, or to be able to look at the issue as a whole and to be able to gain more knowledge of it to take back to like the SGO board, so to speak.
I think that it could be a good idea. With things like the budget increase, I know a lot of students might not agree with that. And if the student voter on this board of trustees would go purely off the opinion of the student body, then they would sorry. Then they would also vote not to raise the tuition, but not because it's what's best for the schools, because the students don't want to pay more. But at the same time, there are also other times where the board of trustees may want student opinion and may want to defer to what the students say and what they feel about certain issues in the school.
Just to be clear, the Board of Trustees does currently have a student representative in Jason Sumter, who is SGO president. So there is currently a voice now. With showing hands, could you just, if you are in agreement with the student voter, raise your hand. If not, keep your hand down. Thank you.
This will be our last question before we go to audience questions. And it's a simple one. Why should students vote for you for the SGO?
Because I always listen to what other people feel, and I always try to act to make everyone I can happy, and I enjoy doing whatever I can to lend a hand to anyone who needs a helping hand.
I feel like I really have what it takes to be on SGO. I'm really involved on campus, and I am involved in a lot of different groups on campus, so I've heard a lot of different opinions about all kinds of different issues and all kinds of different topics to really know what people are thinking already. I'm a really, really determined and outgoing person, so I feel like I kind of would really fit in well. I'm one of those people that's not afraid to voice my opinion or say when I think that something should be changed, so I'm not hesitant in that area, which I think can really serve in my benefit. And I made sure, looking at my schedule for upcoming semesters that I planned out, that I would have enough time to incorporate this into my lifestyle, my schedule, so I know going into it that it's not going to be something that I'm going to put on the back burner. It's something that I've already made a priority, even though I haven't been elected yet.
As I know, I have a problem, which is language barrier, but I don't think that is a problem because I have a really strong sense of responsibility and determination. So I don't quit in the middle until I get whatever done. And I have a pretty good comprehensive understanding skill. Even though I don't understand details, I can understand the comprehensive thing. So there's no problem understanding problem and making decision. So
just give me a chance?
Simple but hard question at the same time. I think part of it is my commitment, but also my love for this school at the same time. I was homeschooled my whole life, and this is kind of like my middle school from homeschool to college. It's kind of like in the middle, because it's not like real big, so it's close to what I have at home, but bigger at the same time. And so I think that part of that is because I really care about this school, and I really want to make the school better. And even now, thinking about next year, I'm thinking about what things, if I was on the board, what would I like to change, or what goals would I like to set for next year for myself and for the board in general. And I think that's part of why I would be a good candidate for the board. And I'm really committed, and I really care about the school and the faculty.
All right, I think people should vote for me because aside from my interest in getting involved here at Carroll and wanting to benefit the entire school as a whole, I want to just like grow like as a person, not only as a leader but as a person. I think being a leader is like part of being a leader is like growth and like expanding your comfort zones. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is a little out of my comfort zone. So I'm wanting to like become a better leader and expand my experience, and in addition to benefiting the entire community.
I think that I should be voted in because I'm already involved in SGO, so I know what I'm getting myself into, and I'm already prepared for it. And like Carly said, like I know my schedule's clear. I made sure my classes ended, so I have SGO time. And it's not a problem to take off of work. I already do for Tuesdays, so it's not a big deal. And I love being involved at Carroll. This is like my favorite school out of all the schools I've ever been to. I mean, out of like elementary through high. But I like that it's really small. I love the atmosphere and the people and the faculty and staff, because that's a difference here. And I want to be a teacher when I grow up, and I think that this is a really great leadership experience for me, because if I can unify the students here and bring it to the SGO board, I can learn how to do that for when I'm a teacher, and I can hear the students' needs. Because when you're a teacher, you don't just want to teach and not know what your students need. You need to be able to open and listen to what everyone else needs. So I think SGO really does that for me. I like expanding my leadership. I completed the leadership challenge, so I want another challenge.
All right, we're going to open this up to the audience questions now. So this first question comes from Joseph Mercurio.
Pronounce it right. I don't.
Thank you. What defines the SGO and their abilities from student life in the normal college administration? How do you proactively use these abilities?
Okay. Can you break that down for me?
I want to know.
It's just long.
What defines the SGO
Okay.
from student life or the normal college administration? What makes me want to go to the SGO and say, hey, I need you to do this, or do you have this ability, or can you do this for me, instead of having to go directly to student life or go to the college administration? Because I understand you guys are kind of like a messenger between that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is there any other broader terms that you guys can do other than just handle budgets and say to student life or to the college administration, we need to change this and this?
Okay, definitely you can come and talk to us. I think we're more of like a liaison between the students and the adults here, because some people don't feel as comfortable going to an adult and saying, hey, I kind of want this changed about our college. You know what I mean? So I think that the SGO provides the open atmosphere, and everyone on the board from this year has been really outgoing and really understanding. And I mean, we've been open, we have our suggestion boxes, and we talk to people in person. So I think that SGO serves the purpose of if you want to feel comfortable talking to someone more your age, that's what we're here for. I mean, some people prefer to go to adults, and I have no issues with that. So I don't think by any means we should replace any of the adults. But if you ever have something that you just don't want to bring up to them, or you just think a student would understand a little bit better. I think that's what we're here for.
Alright, the question was, how would I define the student body? Or SGO, I'm sorry.
How would you define its abilities and itself? What's the difference? I'm basically asking, what's the difference between student life, SGO, and, I mean, some people don't understand this. I usually know the difference, but I mean, if you're going to discuss the public, you got to say, this is what we can do for you. This is who we can talk to if you want it done. Is what abilities do you have that maybe spread from that?
Alright, well, the student body, we are students. So like we're on the student body's level. The only thing we do is we just make your opinions heard. So our abilities to communicate with like the administration. The question? I'm sorry.
The question was, do you have the ability to change things directly, or are you indirect changing? As in, like, you're just a messenger between the students and the college administration and the student life and whoever else needs to get what done.
Yeah, the SGO definitely is a part of decisions and stuff like that. Yeah, the SGO is definitely a part of decisions. We represent the student body by making our voice heard.
I think it's because how can I word this right? We're around our students every day. Like we take classes with you all. Not that we're different. Like I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying. And I'm trying to figure out how I can word this so that it'll answer your question. As members of SGO, certain of us go to meetings, like Jason goes to the Board of Trustees meetings, I go to the Foundation Board meetings as treasurer, Ben goes to the Senate meetings as the secretary, and while we're there, we are your voice to them. While we're in the meetings, they ask us, what do you think the students think about this? What do you think as a student? How will this impact the school? And I think that's one of the reasons why you should come to us, because we need to know what you think about issues in the school or about certain things that are coming up in the school, rather than just going to Christy or saying, hey, Christy, can you change this? You can come to us and we'll have a voice, not only to Christy, but also to the Board of Trustees meetings and to the Foundation Board meetings and stuff like that. Does that answer your question? Or
That kind of does.
somewhere?
Can you make your question clear?
What is the SGO's duty, essentially? What can it do and what does it do?
I can't answer exactly because I don't involve in SGO right now. But if I find it, I'll let you know. we might have an ability to get our school changed, either directly or indirectly, but I don't know yet. So if I know it, I'll let you know.
All right, thanks.
Kind of going back to the original question that you were talking about with like the difference between student life, SGO, and the administration, and like our duty as SGO members. I'm not currently active in the SGO board, so I don't know necessarily specific things, but I do know that from a student's standpoint, looking at Carol and looking at all of the different like levels of different people or whatever, that a lot of times if you are just one person and you have an issue with something, or you want your voice to be heard about something, or you want your opinion to be heard about something, a lot of times going to somebody on the administrative level and telling them to kind of pass it along, a lot of times it can get lost in translation or lost, that it was just one opinion you heard once or something like that. Whereas like if you come to us about it, it's more like we're a group of diverse people that are sitting down with the adults of Carroll community, so that we are there to take that thing that you have told us and hand it off to somebody in a cordial manner, so that it is like documented and it is heard and it is something that is that is noted. So instead of going through and trying to make these changes on your own, it's best to seek help from SGO, because we can get your opinions and your issues that you have and take them and give them to the right people so that change can be moved and come at a quicker pace than if you were just trying to go and fight this fight on your own. Does that answer a question? Okay.
Okay. If I had to put it in the word, I'd say the SGO is the power and authority of the students, of the student body condensed into a board of 10 people. Any problems that the student body has, the solution starts with us. I know when I first came here from high school, I was confused by the multiple offices they had. In high school, we only had one main office. You go there to solve all your problems, but here there's so many people you could talk to, and it was confusing for me at first. What the SGO does is it takes whatever problem you're having and handles all that complicatedness for you, so that all you have to do is just sit back and enjoy whatever solution we can bring to you.
All right, Josh, thank you. Before we move on, I would like to request from you folks, if we can, another 10 minutes of your time. And you know we can do 3 others. Thank you very much for that. This question comes from Christy Crumley, your faculty advisor and member of the staff here at Carroll. What attributes does an effective SGO member have?
SGO members are representatives of the student body, and one of the most important attributes is listening to people and being able to have a feel for what they feel about certain issues. I may not be the smartest guy, the most outgoing guy, or even the most well-spoken guy, but more often than not, I'm the nice guy who listens to you and tries to come up with feasible solutions for your problem. I try to help you at every turn, and I hope that's what makes me a good senator.
I think that you definitely need to have a good sense of communication and a good sense of communication skills. I feel like you need to be reliable and responsible, because being on the SGO board is not just a walk in the park. You know, you have to go to all kinds of different meetings and vote on different things. And I feel like you especially have to be an open-minded person. And when new things are coming in, you can't just on a whim just say no, just because on that second you think it should be no. I think it's something that you need to be able to think open-mindedly and process different things, and be able to, kind of going back to the communication thing, be able to go out on a whim and talk to different students, because it's not just about the people that you feel comfortable talking to, it's about Carroll as a whole. So I feel like you have to be able to be one of those people who will be willing to go out on a whim and outside of your comfort zone to hear everyone's opinions, no matter what those opinions are, no matter if they make you feel uncomfortable or whatever kind of thing like that.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
What attributes does or should an SGO senator have?
I think someone who have a strong responsibility and like dedication for what he has to do. I think that is me. And as you member have to have good heart, so that communicate from deep mind, like, so that they communicate seriously. Like, so that is mine too. I have a good heart.
First off, I think SGO takes a lot of commitment from a person. You know, I mean, you can attend the meetings, but if you're going to be effective, you need to be committed and willing to be there and participate. But also, I think as a board, SGO, besides that, I don't know if I'm going to name attributes, because SGO is diverse, and as a group, everyone brings something different to the board. And because of that, I think each person has their different qualities that makes them an effective member.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, I definitely agree with what Anna just said. Every person's going to be different and bring their own benefits to the table. I think in general, good qualities include being responsible, being committed, being having good communication skills. That includes that includes like being a good listener and a good presenter of information and stuff like that. Yeah, responsibility. The list goes on and on, but each person is unique, and it creates a diverse group of students that represent the student body.
I agree that everyone brings something different to the table, but I do think you need to make sure you are someone who is able to commit, and beyond commitment isn't just showing up to every meeting and saying, hey, I'm here, I'm part of SGO. You need to participate, you need to give your input, and you need to take what you're hearing in SGO and implement it in your lives. Like, you need to tell students what's going on. So I think communication is extremely important. I think you need to be somewhat outgoing. You need to be able to talk to other students. Like, Josh is correct. Like, I mean, he's a little shy. Like, I know he's quiet in SGO, but he's a really great guy, and like, he is definitely easy to talk to. So I think as long as you're able to put yourself out there to open yourself up for other students, that's really important. You need to be responsible, especially if you're going to be higher up than just like a senator or the president. I mean, Jason does a lot. Like, he's amazing. So I think as long as you're responsible and you can take accountability for your actions. So I mean, if you don't do something fully, just be accountable for what you do and definitely commit to it. That's all.
Okay, we have a lot of questions, and I don't think we're going to be able to get to all of them. So I was thinking that we could actually provide you those questions and you could answer them on the quill. That would be okay with all of you?
Sure.
Okay, all right. So we're going to keep on going with some more questions, though. This is from student Ayla Irons. What are some of the challenges that you face as a student here at Carroll, and how would you help other students with similar difficulties?
First of all, after this question, I'm gonna leave. I'm sorry, I have class, so I'm sorry. But can you repeat that question for me?
What are some of the challenges that you face as a student here at Carroll, and how would you help other students with similar difficulties?
Okay, one thing that I face here is, well, I kind of procrastinate, but besides that, I have a big workload. I have a part-time job, and I have volunteer work that I do outside of school, and then I have 6 classes this semester, and I'm part of the Health Scholars Program, so there's a lot to do with that, but, and I play sports, but anyway. So I think the biggest thing for me is just finding time to do everything. So I think one thing that's really important is to open students up to the peer mentoring that we have here, because it's definitely really great. And I think it's really easy for students to talk to other students, and that's the way to bring all of our students together. Another thing to do is to try to keep yourself organized, which I know is kind of hard, and I fall off the wayside sometimes and get a little crazy. But if you keep yourself organized and set your tasks up so you know when each thing is due, that's definitely helped me. Believe it or not, I use my agenda book. But I color code it and everything for when everything's due. You don't have to go that crazy if that's not you. But keeping yourself organized and opening yourself up to others and opening yourself up to new experiences. Some students come in and they're like, this is my way of doing things. I won't do anything different. You have to be flexible, especially coming to a new school. I didn't really know that many people, and I knew nothing about college. I was like, college, woo! And it's a lot harder than I expected, but it's definitely fun. So I think being open to anything new and open to talking to others is definitely really important. Thank you, and I'm sorry that I have to go.
Luke, the question was, what challenges did I face being a new student?
Yeah, what are some of the challenges that you face as a Carroll student, and how would you help other students who face similar difficulties?
Okay, I'm not the most outgoing person, so I was really worried about making friends. I never imagined myself being as involved as I became. So, in my opinion, the remedy to overcoming overcoming that pressure of like not being afraid of like fitting in is solved by just getting involved and just talking to people, joining clubs, doing all types of things just to make your experience as good as possible.
Right now, I think the biggest challenge I face is time management with all the homework I have and I go to work and then my family and everything. But I think as a new student, the biggest challenge that I faced was I guess being afraid of like not knowing anyone here, not knowing how the school operated and what was going to happen and how my teachers were going to be. So I think how to help someone with that would be in my classes, talking to people around me, and even like a new student orientation when I give tours to people, ask them, are you nervous? How, I give them advice. I talk to them while I'm giving them tours about the school and letting them know things that are going on as I'm walking around with them. So I think just talking to them is just being a listening ear is one of the biggest things I think that someone needs when they're faced with a challenge.
Oh, my biggest problem is the language. But how do I get through it? I work hard and dedicate more than any other Americans do. That's why I have a good GPA right now, and I have a lot of friends who support me. But how do but before I make friends or get through it, I get help from people who try to understand me and listen to me, what I'm thinking. So I'm gonna try to understand. I'm gonna try to understand what the new students have thinking, like, so that I help them, like what I get it. That is my way.
When I first came to Carroll, it was crazy overwhelming. Even though I came from Westminster High School that had approximately 1,600 students, so it wasn't that much of a transition when it came to like the amount of people that were here. So that aspect of it wasn't overwhelming. But the thing that was hard for me when I first came was obviously time management, because especially with classes being at all different times of the day and having all kinds of things, and then having work in there and all kinds of things, that was definitely hard. But I think that one of the things that when I first came to Carroll, that I was struggling with most was finding how to get involved without knowing anyone first, kind of going out on that limb and joining clubs, even though you didn't know anyone to go with you. Or another thing was, like, academically, I didn't necessarily struggle academically, but in like math classes, for example, which are not my forte, it would have been nicer to know kind of in the beginning of the school going into it that there were so many different resources available for that there are so many different tutors and everything like that. So when like looking back and seeing how I can help new students with that, I feel like I would love to be a part of like new student orientation, going in and kind of pinpointing those new kids and seeing who they are and recognizing them and introducing myself to them, so that in that rush of everything coming at you at once at orientation, that one person has come up to you and knows who you are. And then from that, kind of be that person, introduce them to like all kinds of different programs, peer mentor programs, the different tutoring things and everything like that, so that they are aware of the different connections that we have here on campus. And then if they ask if they were to want to do something but were afraid to go out on a limb, be that person who would go with them to wherever they needed me to go.
One of the challenges I faced when I came to school was finding a place where I could belong and with people I can connect to. I've been very withdrawn ever since high school and even before that. And so I promised myself I would try to get more involved when I came here. When I first got to college, I felt like one person in an ocean of strangers, but then I went to all of the club fair, even the other fairs that they have here are great for getting involved in various things going on around the community. I remember when Jason first asked me, as a stranger, if I would like to join SGO, it would be a great way to get involved, and I remember what went through my head at that moment. I'm like, yes, this is my opportunity. I'm going to take it, and today is the beginning of my new life.
All right, we're going to ask one more question, and then we'll open it up for closing remarks from Sean Gill. If your question wasn't asked, we will make sure we ask those questions to the SGO candidates, and we'll post those answers on thequill.org. So just be looking out for that.
Okay, and our final question for the night is, what are your plans for putting more decisions in the hands of students? This is from an unnamed student.
I'll have to think about that for a little bit.
Carly, would you like to take a shot at that?
I kind of touched on this earlier in one of the questions before, but I think it would be really good to have discussions with students, kind of like a question and answer session, so that they are aware of different things that we're talking about and different things that they have that they wanted to directly communicate to us. And I think that that it would be really good to go to different people specifically to see like what their issues were, but I think it would be really good, like that's a solid idea to kind of do maybe a quarterly question and answer with SGO members or something like that, where kids can come and kind of voice what they're feeling in that time. So you got
Sure.
okay.
One way we can get students more involved, I guess, is, well, I know the Quill has been doing a great job of trying to spread the word about certain issues around the school, having various polls about what students think about various issues. And I think just raising awareness about that, because I know not a lot of people know about the various opportunities to learn about what's going on in the school. I remember today I was asking a student that I know if they were going to vote for me in the election, and she didn't even know that we had elected representatives. So I would try to do what we could to spread the word, raise awareness about everything that we have, the Quill website, various bulletin boards we have around the school, and just tell people directly how their issues can be heard, how we can help them, and what's available to them.
Could you please make answer clear?
Sure. The student would like to know what you will do to put more decisions in the hands of the students.
I can't answer it because I don't know about SGO at all. But I'm saying I'm gonna work harder than anyone and dedicate my work so that I have a student that is everything I can do. I'm sorry.
I think the key, as I've said like 5 times already, is communication. I won't name anything in particular, but I know there have been some events going on in the school that I didn't even know about, and I'm on SGO. I'm not saying, I'm involved and I didn't even know about the event. And so I think part of it is, I guess maybe advertising, I don't know if that's the right word, but there's a lot of things that aren't known throughout the school, and so we need to come up with more ways to get those out. I can't really think of anything like right now, but I think that is like the key in getting decisions in the hands of the students is communication, as I've said already.
I think ways to get decisions in the hands of the students would be to possibly make things more accessible. Maybe I know the Quill is doing a fantastic job of I know they have little surveys on the side that pull up the answers. I think those are great. And yeah, communication is a big one. So yeah, just making things more accessible and communication are keys to that answer.
All right, I would like everyone to give our SGO candidates a round of applause for their participation tonight. Thank you folks very, very much. You were very eloquent in your responses, and we appreciate you being here tonight. We'd also like to thank IT for helping us to live stream this presentation, and for the constant support of the Carroll Community College community. We are already over time, so I won't speak any more than that. But thank you very much, and
No one's in the room. You can just have them for the rest of the night if you want.
okay.